Hi, this is Rob Darrow. This is a short video to talk about Google Drive, Gmail, and how to move files around in your Google Drive and in folders. I know that most of you have done this before, as I have, but I just wanted to share a couple tips that I've learned over the years to hopefully keep things more organized for you so that you can be more efficient in your work. So in this video, we're going to understand a little bit about Gmail, the difference between global Google and CSUMB Google, how to navigate between Google accounts, how to create a Google Drive folder, how to copy and move files to the right folder, and how to create a Google Doc and make sure that these Google Docs are placed in the correct folder. I'm now moving into the visual guide that I created for you in this course, just so I can talk off of this particular document. So the basic vocabulary to know is that Gmail, as we all know and heard, is a type of email account created by Google. But every time you create a Gmail account, you have access to a bunch of other tools, including a Google Drive. So if you've got 5 different Gmail accounts, you have access to 5 different Google Drives. Now, it's important to understand the different Google accounts that you probably have access to. There's what I call Google Global. That's the big Google Drive out there in the world. Those are the free Gmail accounts that many of us have. Then there is the Google CSUMB accounts. Then there is any school district Google. So you, as a teacher, may have 3 different Google accounts. Generally a free one, open to the world. Maybe you definitely have one at CSUMB, and you may have one at your school district. Now, it's important to realize that in the global Google, you have power over and access to how you use those accounts. The CSUMB Google is maintained and operated by the tech people, and they determine what permissions the users have. And that's the same thing at the school district. The school district tech people determine what permissions the users have. And in a school district, there may be certain permissions for teachers and different permissions for students. And all of that's determined by your tech people. Now, it's important to note that in the upper right-hand corner of your Google account, you can tell which Google Drive you're in. And I've given you 3 examples here. Here's my global Google account, what it looks like in the upper right-hand corner, what my CSUMB Google looks like, and then I run this program called History Day, and so that's what that one looks like. You'll notice for me, I've got different icons or different photos in each one of them, so it's easy for me to tell. And I'll show you how to go between those in just a minute. The other thing I want to point out is in the upper right-hand corner of every Gmail account is this thing with 9 dots in the upper right-hand corner. Now, people call it Rubik's Cube or waffle, and I think I'm going to call it the waffle. So no, when you hear me say the waffle, I'm referring to these 9 dots up here. When you click on the waffle, you have access to all of the Google suites of tools and lots of cool stuff that you can use that you may or may not know about. So with that now, I'm going to pause my video for just a minute, and then I'm going to show you the difference between these different accounts. To know the difference between which account you're in, you simply move your mouse to the upper right-hand corner, and you can see that I'm in my upper right-hand corner. And if I click on it and put my mouse over it, it tells me the name of my account. So I'm putting my mouse over there. It says robdarrow74@gmail.com. Now I can click on that account if I've linked my accounts and choose my CSUMB account. And then it will open up my Gmail from CSUMB because I've already linked those accounts. If I put my mouse in the upper right-hand corner, it shows me my name, rdarrow@csumb.edu. Now, it's important to note that in each of these accounts, if I click on the waffle, here's all these other accounts. Here's access to YouTube, to Drive, to Gmail, to all these accounts. And you can even go all the way down here and click on More and have access to all these different tools that you can use in Gmail. So it's important to note that in my Google account, which is where I'm at now, I can look at my picture up here in the right-hand corner. I have different pictures for different Google accounts. If I click into my Google Drive, right here, I'm showing you my CSUMB folder, and you can see that I've got my CSUMB folder and all the folders that I use in this class. And again, I've named each folder and moved my documents there so I have things organized for myself. If I move to my CSUMB account right here, if I click on the waffle and click on Drive, my drive's going to look different because these are the drive files that are at CSUMB. Now you can see I have a few folders in my CSUMB account, but I tend to put most of my folders in my global Google account. But again, it's important for you just to see the difference. So again, if you've got your Gmail accounts linked, you can click on these and go back and forth between your different Gmail accounts. Again, you have to be in Gmail to go back and forth to make this work so that you know which Google account you're in. So once again, clicking in the upper right-hand corner tells you, I'm now back on the visual guide, and I just wanted to use this to point out that I'm now going to create a Google folder and show you how to organize your folders. And I think for this one, I'm going to go to my CSUMB folders. So I'm clicking on that email account. I'm clicking on the waffle and clicking on my drive. So I'm going to just create a new folder, and I do that by clicking on this new button, and the very first item is folder. So I'm just going to call this demo folder. So now I have my demo folder. The other thing to keep in mind is that access to these folders and all the files inside can be done while you're in this area. So if I am in this folder, I can do a right mouse click and share it in a certain way. Now, with the files in this class, it would be useful if you put my name as a person to share with your files, or you can change this restricted to other people, anyone with the link, which generally we will generally do, and we keep people as a viewer. But I would appreciate if you put my name, both my Gmail account, robdarrow74 at Gmail, and my CSUMB account in the folder you're going to use for this class, because then that gives me editing rights, because I'm going to be writing or making comments on your documents, and that will make it easier for me. All right, so I've created my demo folder. If I open up my demo folder, then I go to new, create a Google Doc. I'm just going to create one so you see how I do it. It's always important to name each document. Sometimes it takes a minute. And then I've created that new document and saving that. So if I close out of that now, I will see it sometimes takes a minute to appear in that folder as you're creating documents. So we've now created a folder and created the document that goes into it. Now, sometimes, I don't know if this has happened to you, but it's happened to me. I wonder if sometimes you end up with a messy folder that looks like this, where all of a sudden you have all these documents that say copy of, copy of, copy of, copy of, copy of. So to avoid that, you've got to know how to organize your Google folders when people force you to make copies. So you may find that you're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Google Classroom, and you're forced to make a copy of a document like this. So this comes up and it says copy the document. So know that when you first click on make a copy, it simply puts that copy in your open folder, not in the folder you want. I want to put it in my folder. So I'm going to click on make a copy. This pops up, and let's see which Google I'm in. In my upper right hand corner, I can see I'm in my global Google. If I'm in my global Google, I can't move it to my CSUMB Google. So I'm going to move this folder, and sometimes the move icon takes a minute to pop up. There it is. I'm going to move this to my CSUMB folder, to my Rob folder, which I have down here. And I think I'm going to just move it right here. And then after I move it, I want to give it a different name other than copy of. so that it's there. So this is a CSUMB lesson plan, so I'm going to take that off and made the copy like that. By way of a quick review, when you have to make a copy of a document, make the copy. Go to your File menu and select Move. Move it to the correct folder and then rename the document so that you can find it again. Otherwise, you end up with a messy Google Drive, and we don't want messy Google Drives. So just as a reminder, remember how to create your Google Drive folder, know which Google account you're in, know where they are, and remember how to move those files that you want into folders, because you're going to need this information as part of this class. Thanks for listening.